Hey guys, another knife review. This is what I acquired in a recent trade, and I got this Benchmade 746, the Mini-Onslaught. I had the original 741 Onslaught a while back before I started doing reviews. That thing was a humongous knife, almost 10 inches long. I think it was like 9.5 inches. Got a 4.3 inch blade. Had a huge, satin blade. And it kind of just stuck out like a sore thumb. It was so big. It was probably my biggest knife. I think even bigger than my Peter R. This guy right here. Not only that, but it was really heavy too because of just the thickness of the handle and all that kind of stuff. So when this one came up in a trade, I was pretty interested to try the Mini-Onslaught. Especially because it has a black finish. I thought it looked really, really sleek. The other thing about the 741 was that really was a huge turnoff, and that almost caused me from not pulling the trigger on this blade, was that the knife blade was incredibly thin. It was thinner, a knife that size and that wide and everything. It was, I think 0.12 inches or something, even thinner. It wasn't even just that the blade stock was thin, but you'll see this on this knife here as well. Compared to say something like this with my Lum Tanto. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus here. This blade, even though it's this one, the 741, even though it starts at 0.114 thickness right here, it tapers down incredibly to this needle point, and it just seems like it would flex really easily. And on my 741, because it was so big, I just felt like the knife flexed like so much, and I felt like it would snap, the tip would snap with any kind of stress or pressure. And so that was a huge turnoff for me with the 741. 746, however, I feel like is actually a pretty awesome blade. It is thin, and it would, you do lose some with the thinness of the blade and that kind of stuff. But overall, it just feels a lot more comfortable. I feel like it rides in the pocket way better than the 741, obviously. Because of its smaller form factor, I just feel like it just looks a lot better as well. It's not super intimidating. Those kinds of things. Quick rule specs is, you got a 3.45 inch blade versus the 4.3 inch one. Again, the thickness is 0.114, so it is actually thinner than a mini Griptilian. It's smaller than like the sequel, like thinner by 0.001, but still a knife this size, and handles this thick. I don't know why they couldn't afford to put at least a slightly thick, at least a 0.125 inch blade. But I don't know, maybe if that's how Bob Lum, if that's how he created it, maybe that's what they're sticking to. But yeah, and then your standard 154 cm on a lot of the Benchmades. Axis lock, which on this knife works perfectly. Deployment, they use the Spidey hole. Of course, they don't advertise it as much because Benchmade likes to make it their own stuff. Like they call the Chris Reeve integral lock, they call it the mono lock. So axis lock is their thing. Spidey hole, I mean, give credit where credit's due. I mean, that's what I would say. And then G10 handles, screw construction, all that kind of stuff. You got your Lum logo right there, which is awesome. So it's actually, I think he's Cantonese, that's actually Lin. But the one thing as well that's a slight downside for me on this blade, if it was satin finish, maybe it wouldn't be such a big deal, but their pocket clip here, it's like a bright, shiny silver, and it sticks out still like a sore thumb. And I think this pocket clip is butt ugly, with this huge, where it's secured to the handle and all that kind of stuff, these big 3 screws here. I would have much rather them just have 2 screws like right here for them to secure the clip on here, whether it was a standard whatever kind of clip, split arrow clip or the standard Benchmade clip or whatnot. You know, it's only one side carry as well. You can't attach this clip anywhere else because it's curved this way. So you're very limited. You know, this pocket clip I think is the biggest detracting factor. And when you take this off as well, this part on the G10 is flattened. You know, so it's going to be asymmetrical no matter if you decide to carry it without a pocket clip or with a lanyard or whatnot. So, you know, that's one bad thing about this particular knife. I'm trying to figure out how I can maybe blacken this clip or paint the clip or whatever, just so it's a little aesthetically more pleasing. I tried stonewashing it a little bit last night, so I do have like stonewash texture on it now. I don't know if I need to etch it or whatever, but I don't carry gallons of acid in my garage and that kind of stuff. So as it stands, it's still the stainless steel. But overall, you know, ergonomics of this knife are great. It feels so comfortable. It's rounded, G10 and smooth, and you know, it kind of locks in. No jimping anywhere on this knife, which I don't care about too much because I don't, you know, plan on doing any real thrusting or anything like that. Even then, you know, with this little mini choil and all that kind of stuff, it locks in pretty well. Reverse grip is comfortable as well. You know, this knife is it's too thin, basically. You know, if to do any kind of thrust cuts or puncturing anything, this tip will, I think, will guaranteed it will break if you stab anything with any kind of strength. So, but overall, you know, as a gentleman carry or you know, everyday kind of slicer, you know, even boxes, it's gonna hold up fine. Carving through wood, it'll slice through it pretty well, but again, you know, with that kind of stress on the blade, I definitely, I mean, this is such a super thin blade, you know. If I can line it up perfectly against, I mean, look how ridiculously thin that gets, you know. So the only knife that I think tip maybe was thinner was the Spyderco Chakwe, actually, which is what I traded. I traded for this knife. Here's, you know, against some of these other Lum knives that I've collected over time. My LFTI also from Benchmade. The Spyderco, hence the holes here. This is my Lum Tanto Sprint, and then this is the large Chinese folder. Also, just wanted to bring out this knife right here, my CQC 8, or not, sorry, the Horseman that I reviewed previously. It just reminds me a lot of it. You know, this one has more of a sweep up here, but you know, the belly on this Mini-Onslaught is pretty awesome, and it works really well. But you also see the width of this blade, which I like a lot more than the thinness of this Horseman. But you know, a lot of similarities that I see between these two knives. Both very comfortable, very ergonomic, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's a quick review of the Mini-Onslaught 746. Let me know what you guys think about it. Alright, thanks. Bye.